Hello everybody and welcome back, and we're gonna continue to make this statue moss material. So maybe you're happy with this result, but we're gonna make a little bit more tweaks. So we're gonna add normals and work a little bit with the specular. So let's get started. So we left off here, and what we want to do is to work a little bit on this moss. So this looks like a moss in a way, but I actually want to break it up to make it have some even more variation. And what I want it to be two different sizes. So I want so let's say if I do like let's say I do 8,000 here and I do 3,000 here, and we just see how that looks. Okay, it didn't at all look what I intended. 500 and 1,000. 500 is the value we had before, so I'm gonna go do 1,000. So this is more resolution. So I want it to be between two different ones. So what I'm gonna do simple noise, and this one I'm gonna have it bigger, and I'm actually gonna do a remap on this one. So it's gonna be 0 and 1, and what I want to do, I want to take the value between these two and remap to 0 and 1. So I kind of sharpen it, I guess. So if I do a lerp, I'm gonna have two different noises. So I have the 500 noise, I got the 1,000 noise, and then I have this one as a mask. So now you see that I have different sizes of noise. And I like that because now if we plug it in here, you will see that we have different sizes of noise. And this is super nice because I want let's do 1,500 and 1,000 and see the result of that. By breaking it up, it feels more alive. So I think this noise, the mask, needs to be 200. Or yeah, and the mask gonna be is 200 to now 100. Let's try that one out. Well, at least you get my idea here what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a little bit variation in the noise. So yeah, I do 200, and this is all about tweaking, and I'm gonna leave it so I'm not tweaking forever. But now you see there is variation here, and actually I'm just gonna flip it. Because I want a little bit variation in the noise, right? And also I want this noise to be a little bit so I did 1,200 and 1,700, and I think I'm gonna keep these values. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. So it's about tweaking, but I think it's good enough. So yeah, whoops. So I'm happy with that noise, and we're gonna what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna make sure that we have some normals for this too. So this is the moss part, right? So what I do here, this is a mask, and this mask is picking two different sizes of noise, and we have that to use these two different colors of moss. Cool. So now we want to have a lerp here, and the reason for that is because we want to use this mask from dot, and we want the normal from this part. So it's going to be 0, because when it's white it's going to be moss, and when it's 1 is moss and 0 is the original material, the base texture. So that's why the base texture are going to go into A, and that's going to be 0, and 1 going to be the moss. So I'm going to pick this noise here, because this noise pattern and this texture here gonna help us to create a normal from height. So if we plug this one into the normal, we will see some normals. And we have some moss normals here, super nice. And we have some concrete normals, and it's super a lot. So we're gonna make a slider so we can control them one by one. So let's start with a moss, and we're gonna do a remap. So this moss is gonna go in here, and it's between 0 and 1, and we actually gonna make a float and call it moss normal. Actually, I want it to be normal moss. So I'm gonna put this to a vector 2. So you see here it says 0, 1, and this one is 0, and whatever we put in the normal moss. And you see this one is super strong here, and this one needs a really small value. So this normal moss, we're gonna make sure that that normal moss is a slider between 0 and 0.1. So the minimum can, so if we save this, and now if we have normal moss here, we can just, wow, that was very weak. I was expecting it to be so much more. Okay, let's do 1 then, if it's gonna be like that. Now we control it, and yeah, it's gonna be a pretty small value, right? So that's gonna be our moss, and we're gonna make sure we work in the concrete. So if we just give us a little bit more space here. So this is gonna be the remap for the moss part, right? And then we do another remap here. That's gonna be, I will actually place it here. It's gonna be for the base texture. So we can do a group here to do moss normal remap. And then we can do here we copy this one. It's gonna be a normal, and it's gonna be the stone. I'm gonna call it stone. Normal stone, and we do this one to here. So this one gonna be stone. stone normal remap. Just a little bit more clear what's going on. So if we save this and we go back, and now we have the stone here as well. So this is nice, and we could work on the texture on the moss if we want it to be bigger or smaller, but I really like we break up the noise so it looks more alive. So the last thing I want to do, I want to work with the smoothness, because the smoothness is just a value. And we're going to make this stone to feel a little bit more marble-ish. And the way to do this, we need to we need this value, because when it's 1 it's moss, and when it's black it's stone. So if we just do a remap, and the value is 0 to 1, and we want to remap it from so when it is 0, it's gonna be black, and that represents a stone. So then we put the value here, the smoothness value we want to be when it's stone. And I'm gonna put it to dot, well, we could do it to 1 to be really obvious what's happening, and 0 gonna be the moss. So when we look at this one now, you can see it's super shiny where it's a rock. But if we look at the moss, you see it doesn't reflect anything. So now it's easy to understand what's going on. So I want, sorry. So the stone value, I want that to be 0.25-ish, and I always want some value on smoothness. So I'm gonna go 0.05 for the moss. And that's how we're gonna keep it. So, sorry. So I think this concludes the tutorial, actually. Of course, there's more tweaking you could do, and work on the noise size and so forth. But yeah, it's super nice to do it procedurally, because then you have the control over the resolution and so forth, and it's you can place it on different assets. Actually, let's do one thing, because you can see this moss. It's controlled with this here with the mask threshold. But also, I would like to see if we do a power node. So I'm just gonna make a debug thing. So what I do now, I just plug it in. I'm gonna take the normal. I'm gonna take the AO amp just to debug. So what I do now, I take the mask and I put it into a power node, and I just plug it out to the base texture. So these nodes are the only ones that goes into the base texture. And why I do this, I want to see. Actually, we're going to make a new one. We do debug, because I want the values to be open, because it's clamped in these ones. So if I save now, and so what you see here, it's interesting. We have the, you see the hardness of the edges, right? Let's say I lower the mask. Just wanted to see if we could control the strength of the edges a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it. It's gonna be an experiment I look on later. But, so this is what we have. I think it looks pretty good. So what we have here is we have this part is making a noise. So this noise here is acting like a mask to pick two different noises. And I do a lerp here to differentiate between these two and multiply it. Well, so I use this value to lerp with the two different MOS values, and that makes us give these kind of breaking pattern here, right? And I also plug this one in here to MOS normal, and this part goes here into the normal, so that's nice. And then we do the base texture, so we have the ambient occlusion mask in here, and I do a maximum. So here I make sure one value controls what the minimum is able to be, so that way I can control with a maximum with this ambient occlusion controller. And then here we do the normals, and we calculate that with a dot product towards the upward normals. And then we get this mask that we use. So, and also, whoops, where are we going? What did happen? So what's really nice now when we have this mask is if we would just want to put it down here, because if we have the up normal, we can control where the MOS is going to be. This is a super nice shape. So if we have more ones, they actually have the same shader, and we can have a lot of them, and they're gonna be yeah, shader's the MOS gonna stay on top, so that's super nice. So thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you like this. So hope I see you in the next tutorials I'm gonna make. Thank you so much.